The hearing room in room 312 of the Cannon Building, Washington, D.C., was a crucible of tension, its air thick with anticipation and the hum of whispered speculation. Rows of polished wooden chairs were filled with Capitol Herald reporters, aides to Senator Thomas Reed, and policy wonks from the Capitol Policy Institute, their eyes darting between a glowing projector screen and the heavy oak door at the room's entrance. The click of cameras punctuated the atmosphere like a metronome, their flashes casting fleeting shadows across the walls. A sign on the hearing table read, "Oversight of Federal Budget Allocation," but their words belied the true stakes. This was no routine inquiry. It was a public trial, a clash of titans that promised to reshape the political landscape. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, a rising star in Congress known for her fiery rhetoric against privilege and abuse of power, entered the room first. Her deep navy suit was impeccably tailored, her hair pinned back with precision, and a single file tucked under her arm held a black pen that seemed as much a weapon as a tool. She moved with deliberate silence, her face a mask of resolve, her eyes cold as steel. Crockett was not here to negotiate or charm. She was here to confront. Her presence sent a ripple through the room, a signal that something monumental was about to unfold. Moments later, the door swung open again, and Elon Musk strode in. The billionaire, senior advisor at the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, exuded a casual confidence that bordered on theatrical. His sleek black suit and sunglasses caught the camera flashes like a mirror, reflecting light in a way that seemed to amplify his presence. Each step was measured, deliberate, a silent declaration of control. A slight smirk played on his lips, as if he were stepping onto a stage he'd mastered countless times before. For Musk, this was a performance. For everyone else, it was a battlefield. Crockett had accused Musk of a grave misuse of power. According to a leaked report from former DOGE official David Larson, Musk had funneled billions in federal funds to his companies, XAI and Tesla, without public bidding. The funds, ostensibly allocated for AI and clean energy projects in cities like Portland, Austin, and Charlotte, were meant to improve traffic management, optimize energy grids, and streamline permitting processes. But Crockett alleged a darker truth. Musk had manipulated the bidding process in 27 cities, sidelining competitors like StarTech Innovations and Greenwave Systems to secure contracts for his companies. For her, this wasn't just about budgets. It was about a billionaire bending the system for personal gain, a betrayal of public trust. The room was taut with anticipation as Committee Chairman Edward Bennett rose to speak. His voice, calm but authoritative, cut through the murmurs. We are here today to discuss the use of federal budgets and the accountability of private companies receiving these funds. He began, his words carefully chosen to set the stage for a hearing that could define careers. But before he could finish, Musk stood, his movement swift and assured, cutting through the formality like a blade. "Thank you, Mr. Chairman," Musk said, his voice smooth and confident. "I think we can skip the formalities. I'm here to set the record straight." The room shifted, whispers fading as all eyes turned to him. His words carried the weight of someone who believed he alone understood the future. "The truth is," he continued, leaning forward, "technology always outpaces policy, and frankly, I'm the only one here who truly gets that." His smug smile dared anyone to challenge him, as if he'd already solved the world's problems. Crockett didn't flinch. Her eyes were locked on the screen before her, where a presentation waited. With a single click, she displayed her first slide. Black text on a white background, stark and uncompromising. Budget allocation is not a license to manipulate the system. The words hung in the air like a gauntlet thrown at Musk's feet. The room fell silent, the weight of her challenge sinking in. Cameras froze, lenses trained on Crockett as she sat motionless, her composure a stark contrast to Musk's theatrical flair. She had landed the first blow, and the atmosphere shifted from anticipation to confrontation. Musk's smile wavered for a fraction of a second, but he recovered quickly, masking his surprise. He signaled his assistant, and a new slide appeared on the screen, its contents sending a chill through the room. "This January in Portland, Miss Crockett," Musk said, his voice steady, "your office received a report from StarTech Innovations, XAI's competitor, alleging we manipulated contracts. That report was dismissed by the Federal Audit Agency for lack of evidence. So can you explain why you're using a fabricated document to attack me today?" The room went still. Crockett's confident posture faltered, her eyes flickering with uncertainty. Musk pressed his advantage, clicking the remote to reveal a series of documents, contracts, signatures, legal seals from the Department of Energy, proving XAI and Tesla had won their contracts through transparent bidding. "This isn't just about contracts, Miss Crockett," he said, his voice cold but firm. "This is about the truth. The documents you relied on aren't just inaccurate, they're fabricated. And you, as a congresswoman, think you can stand here and use unverified information to attack me?" The weight of his words was palpable, each sentence slicing through Crockett's carefully crafted narrative. Cameras captured her hesitation, the slight tightening of her lips as she processed the accusation. Musk wasn't just defending his companies. He was exposing a system that allowed baseless claims to flourish. The room sensed the shift, the momentum swinging in Musk's favor. Crockett squared her shoulders, her voice smooth but defensive. "We are protecting the public's interests," she said, leaning forward. "Our report ensures federal budgets are used appropriately. This isn't a personal attack. It's about accountability." Her words were polished, rehearsed, but they rang hollow against Musk's evidence. He leaned forward, his gaze unrelenting. "You didn't verify your sources," he shot back. "You didn't validate the documents, and now you call that accountability? You think you can throw out false accusations and call it justice?" The room was stifling, the silence heavy as Musk's words echoed. Crockett's confidence cracked, her usual poise giving way to unease. Musk clicked the remote again, and a video appeared on the screen. The image was blurry at first, but it soon sharpened to show an elderly black man in a modest Portland kitchen, his trembling hands opening an envelope. The letter inside appeared innocuous, a community survey on infrastructure improvements. But as the camera zoomed in, a note from StarTech Innovations emerged, revealing a darker purpose. "This man doesn't know yet," Musk said, his voice sharp. "But this letter is part of a campaign funded by StarTech Innovations, sent to hundreds of Portland households to collect misleading information about XAI's contracts. No consent, no transparency." The screen shifted to emails and internal documents from StarTech, exposing their plan to smear XAI. This document didn't just collect information. Musk continued. It was designed to distort the truth. And you, Miss Crockett, used it without a shred of doubt. The room was stunned into silence. Committee members exchanged uneasy glances, the gravity of the revelation sinking in. The report Crockett had relied on wasn't from a government agency. It was a fabrication from a competitor sent from a StarTech server in Raleigh, North Carolina. The elderly man in the video wasn't manipulated by XAI. He was exploited by StarTech, and Crockett had enabled that deception. Musk's gaze didn't waver as he let the evidence speak. This isn't about accountability, he said, his voice a quiet storm. This is about manipulation. You used fabricated reports to smear me, and in doing so, you betrayed the public trust you claimed to protect. The room erupted in whispers, reporters scribbling furiously as the weight of Musk's words settled. Crockett's composure faltered, her jaw tightening, but she had no immediate response. Undeterred, Crockett reached for a document from her stack, sliding it across the table with confidence. This report, she said, her voice steady, authorized by DOJ, shows XAI received contracts without public bidding. This is evidence of manipulation. But Musk was ready. He clicked the remote, revealing a Department of Energy memorandum authorizing AI testing for public services. No malice, no hidden agenda, Musk said. Just solutions to modernize systems and serve the public. Crockett, however, wasn't finished. She clicked her own remote, and a PDF appeared on the screen, an appendix to Musk's memorandum. This document seems legitimate, she said, her voice calm but pointed. Except for one problem. The date has been altered, and the signature is a forged electronic one, unverified. The room went silent, the accusation hanging like a storm cloud. For a moment it seemed Crockett had regained the upper hand. But Musk's expression didn't change. You thought this report would protect you, he said, his voice cutting through her accusation. You thought a piece of paper would make you untouchable. But what you've done here isn't accountability, it's deception. He revealed that the appendix Crockett presented was itself part of the fabricated StarTech report, a desperate attempt to salvage her narrative. The room felt the shift, Crockett's credibility crumbling under the weight of her own actions. Musk pressed further, revealing a final piece of evidence, a live data feed featuring a blurred figure, a former StarTech employee whose voice was distorted for anonymity. I was part of the system, she said, her words heavy with regret. The reports sent to Miss Crockett's office were designed to smear XAI. They weren't just inaccurate, they were sold to competing companies to pressure government agencies. The room was floored, the betrayal laid bare. Funds meant for disabled children's education had been diverted to fuel this smear campaign, a revelation that left even seasoned committee members reeling. Committee member Robert Hayes stood, his voice trembling with outrage. This is unethical behavior, he shouted, his face flushed with indignation. We need a federal investigation now. His words ignited the room, transforming whispers into a cacophony of urgent murmurs. Reporters scribbled furiously, their pens racing to capture the seismic shift. Chairman Edward Bennett pounded his gavel, his voice straining for order. Enough, he barked, but the chaos lingered, a reflection of the betrayal now exposed. Jasmine Crockett, once the picture of confidence, was visibly shaken. Her hands, once steady, trembled as she clutched the table's edge, her carefully curated facade crumbling under the weight of truth. Musk's final blow came with quiet resolve. He displayed an audit memo from the Department of Energy, its stark text confirming XAI's contracts were transparent and rigorously vetted. "Miss Crockett," he said, his voice icy, cutting through the din, "you chose the wrong truth to believe in, and now the entire country will see the cost of that choice." The words landed like a verdict, each syllable a hammer striking the coffin of Crockett's reputation. Her response was barely audible, a murmured confession that echoed with defeat. "We're all afraid of chaos. I was just trying to keep this world from falling apart." Her words, meant to justify, instead revealed her desperation. They were not the rallying cry of a crusader for justice, but the hollow plea of a politician ensnared by her own ambition. The room saw her anew, not as a guardian of the public good, but as a figure who had gambled trust for power and lost. Committee members, including Senator Thomas Reed, exchanged glances heavy with disbelief, their earlier support for Crockett eroded by the undeniable evidence. Even the Capitol Herald reporters, seasoned in political theater, paused, their notebooks frozen as they absorbed the gravity of her fall. As the hearing concluded, the media outside exploded into action. News vans lined the streets, their satellite dishes humming as headlines blared across screens. "Elon Musk exposes Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett's fabricated report." Social media erupted, hashtags like #ReportGate and #Musk versus Crockett trending as the public debated accountability versus ambition. Online forums buzzed with outrage, some decrying Crockett's betrayal, others grappling with the systemic flaws her actions exposed. "This is what happens when power blinds you," one post read, shared thousands of times. "Truth doesn't bend to ambition." Across the nation, citizens voiced their disillusionment, questioning how deeply ambition had corrupted the systems meant to serve them. Crockett's career was in tatters, her reputation shattered not by Musk's aggression, but by the truth he laid bare. The revelation that funds meant for vulnerable children, earmarked for adaptive learning tools, had been diverted to fuel a smear campaign struck a deep chord. It wasn't just a political scandal, it was a moral failing, a violation of the public's trust for personal gain. In the quiet of her office, Crockett sat alone, the glow of a TV replaying her unraveling. Her aides had vanished, their whispers of resignation echoing in the halls. She stared at the screen, her reflection a ghost of the confident leader she once was, now confronting the wreckage of her choices. The weight of her missteps pressed down, a silent indictment of her ambition-driven path. Musk, reflecting in his XAI office, knew this was only the beginning. The victory was not about personal triumph, but about exposing a deeper rot. Others like Crockett would rise, wielding ambition as a weapon, but the fight for truth would continue. His team monitored the fallout. XAI stock ticked upward, while StarTech Innovations faced shareholder demands for accountability. Yet Musk's gaze was fixed beyond the numbers, on a horizon where trust could be rebuilt. He understood that this moment would ripple outward, challenging leaders to prioritize integrity over power. The story of Jasmine Crockett's fall is a cautionary tale about the dangers of ambition unchecked by ethics. In an era where misinformation can spread in minutes, amplified by platforms like X, it underscores the urgent need for individuals and leaders to verify sources and act with integrity. Musk's victory wasn't just personal, It was a clarion call to rebuild a society rooted in truth and accountability, where trust is earned, not manipulated. The hearing's echoes lingered, a stark reminder that the cost of distorting truth is not just a career, but the erosion of the very foundation of justice. As the nation watched, the lesson was clear. Ambition may build empires, but only truth sustains them.